Good afternoon and welcome to Padre's Ponderings at the chapel.
Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. You rolling today?
Rolling.
We're
You
missing.
know what I did this morning?
There's no telling what you did this morning.
Met with children's ministry leader, youth leader, got things mapped out through the rest of the calendar year and looking into next year. Looked at the new expansion they're almost finished with to see those Sunday school and nursery spaces. Pretty exciting.
Praise the Lord.
Yeah.
You know what I did this morning?
No.
I met with people about Argent East and the planning on all that. That's push, push, push. A lot happening.
Give us a little bit of an update on that's past all of the county parts that
The
are
part of the
necessary?
Jasper County stuff, we've made it through all the hoops out there. Yeah. So we just let the contract for architects to start working on that. The civil engineers, all of those contracts are being ready to be signed to move forward with that, with the idea being that all the roads and sewer and all the infrastructure stuff has to be in before we start building, and the idea to start building would be in next fall, so that we start building the fall of 26 to open the fall of 27.
Will you share with people where on East Argent we're talking about?
It's it will be right across from, or adjacent to the big expansion for Sun City out there.
It actually butts up, doesn't the property line butts up to Sun City?
That's right. And Sun City is on one side, and then there's another development on the other side, and we're right in the middle. 20-something acres, right in the middle there, right? And it's right off of Argent. You turn left, and there's a development on the left-hand side with a big golf course, a Nicholas golf course and all that. That's been there a long time.
River Walk?
No, something though.
Riverton?
That's it, Riverton. That's it. Right across, if you turn left and you want to turn into Riverton, you turn left. Look to your right, and you'll see our property right there. It's right there. You'll see it's all in pine trees. Everything else is skinned off and plants. So it's right out there in the middle of a lot of people. A lot of people. So that's, that project is going forward. And speaking of projects going forward, we got the back here, the cafeteria that's being built that we'll use for 2 Sunday school rooms, multi-purpose kind of space. We're dividing petitions and all that kind of stuff with it. Then on the other side of it,
Nursery.
much expanded nursery, place for joyful journeys and some office space and stuff like that. And that's going to be coming online 1st of September, second week in September.
They're not telling us a firm date yet because you just never know, but looking like September.
But they're mopping the floors over there, so they're getting close.
Getting close, yeah.
Yeah, so and then the columbarium, machines are working out there now. They're way along on that. That's supposed to be September 17th. They've given us a hard date on that. So it could be that maybe next week we'll be on location, maybe in the back, and the week after that at the columbarium, or vice versa, something like that, just to give people a feel for the reality of what's going on with that. And we have less cars on campus today than we normally do, because you got all the high school children from cross schools
Cross-school students, our upper school students are on retreat,
9,
and we have some of our staff.
9 through 12 students, faith formation staff people, some of their staff people too.
Right.
And do you know where they are?
They went to Travelers Rest. I can't remember the name of the camp, but I've already heard some really great reports out of the retreat. And the idea of that is to have it at the beginning of the year, and especially with the new students, nobody comes back after retreat unknown. So it's a bonding time for everybody.
That's wonderful.
No phones.
No phones. Whoa.
So they're out, so they bond. Because then you're actually this and not in your phone.
So to do that stuff with the climbing ropes and all of that kind of
I
stuff?
think
or
they
is-
have all of the obstacle courses and all that kind of
Whoa.
fun stuff. So I think they get the day off of school tomorrow, those staff people that went, and the high schoolers, so that they can regroup and rest. Otherwise, the teachers would be.
Yeah, obstacle courses with all those ropes and stuff are different.
Team building is what that type
Team
of stuff
building,
is called
yeah.
now. Team building.
When, let me see when it would
You
have
would have
been.
done that in the Navy.
Yeah, it would have been 1960, the summer of 66. And RTC College, we spent each summer everywhere. And so that second summer, between sophomore and junior year, you spent half the summer at Little Creek, Virginia with the Marines.
Also
And the
where
second
Navy
half
schools
of it was down in Corpus Christi, Texas with the Navy air stuff. And man, that stuff with the Marines there, you got to run that obstacle course. They had this wall there. There wasn't any ropes. They had this wall you had to get over. Whew. A lot of crawling. I forget all the stuff that was there, but there was a lot of it. But that was getting you ready for the last week, which was amphibious training. And you went out on the LSTs and the little boats that went around like that at Iwo Jima and all that, landing on there. That's hard. Now, you get on those landing craft, and they come up and hit those sandbars or whatever it is they hit. The front falls down, and then you got to jump to the side so the waves don't move you that way. And you're jumping into water about this deep, at least. You got the packs and rifles and all the rest of that kind of stuff. And you got to slog through to get to the beach. Many a person fell before they got to the beach, including me.
I would imagine
But
so.
I mean, it's just not what you're expecting. You know, and
Especially the first time.
you practice that stuff on the ground, but you get out there in the real life stuff with those engines whirling and people all around yelling at you and everything else like that, and you jump off. But it was a great experience. It was a great experience. But it was not the obstacle courses like they have now. Not at all.
You have different obstacles to overcome now.
That's right. It was just it was just a different world then. You know, because people were looking at war as being, future wars would be the same as past wars. And that's not the way it is now. And that's a good thing, I think. But on the other hand, I don't know. Wars used to be personal, and war's never good, but wars used to be personal, and now it's impersonal. You shoot a drone or something like that, and you don't ever see the people and all that. I've been reading that book I told you about, The Devil Reaching into the Sky. And the bomber pilots for those two planes, Enola Gay and Boxcar, that was one of the things that they just haunted them, was they hit that bomb and it went off. It kills hundreds of thousands of people. You never see the faces. It's just so impersonal, you know. And it's meant, you're not killing soldiers, you're killing anything and everything that's there. And it's meant to do that. It's not like you're bombing a naval port or something. Anything and everything that's down there is going. And how hard that was to think about the people that died in that had no idea it was coming, were not expected to pay the price of war. Men, women, and children, a lot of children.
It's that scene in Oppenheimer where he says, "Are you sure that you want to continue with this? Because the world will never be the same."
That's right. So it's just, a lot of things change. And change is good. You know, there's a lot of stuff that's come out of the atomic energy, nuclear power plants, and all the rest. There's a lot of good stuff out of that. But the potential for tragedy is much greater now than it was. Just much greater now than it was. We have so many more ways now to kill each other than we had before. And that goes fentanyl and all the rest of it. I mean, there's a lot of ways to kill each other now. So sad. But cross children on retreat, and they're learning,
Right, let's switch gears.
they're learning about living.
They're learning
They're learning about living. They're learning about faith. They're learning about that faith foundation that's needed to walk through this world of uncertainty, knowing that there is something certain, and that's the Lord. And therein is where you put your trust. Don't put it in anything else. Everything else is changing and subject to right and wrong be determined by circumstances and all the rest of that, and expediency. And so that's another story. That's another story. But there's a lot going on, is what I'm saying.
There is. We have Kairos.
And, and things that are going on now we didn't know would be going on 25 years ago, 30 years ago when I came here. And that's part of it. What Cross Schools is about, too, is you're preparing the children for a future that we really can't envision now. They're 15 years old. We're preparing them for a world that when they're 40 may look will no doubt look very different. This whole thing with AI and all the rest of it, what the jobs things. I read recently that children who are in 5-year-old programs this year will be going into jobs that do not even exist now. Don't even exist now. So we're preparing them for a future that only the Lord knows, in a very real way. Only the Lord knows what that future is. So it's a big challenge for schools.
And he's the only consistent,
That's right.
unchanging.
That's right. So it's a big challenge for adapting curriculum and spiritual formation, all the rest of that, for a future you really can't grab a hold to. That's an interesting phrase, grab a hold to. That's another story too, and these are colloquialisms. Grab a hold to. That's like your granddaddy. His hoax was, that H-O hoax. He always pronounced that hoax.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he said that's a hoax. Yes, that isn't
Sweet
real.
man.
That isn't real. That's a hoax.
We have a Kairos ministry will be on campuses. They were on campuses last weekend, and will be on campuses again this weekend to kind of share about that ministry, powerful outreach ministry that we do, going into the prison in Ridgeland. And we go in and take cookies, thousands upon thousands of dozens of cookies, and prayer is a big piece of that too. The children at Cross Schools, one of the things that they're doing through Faith Formation lower school program is they have placemats, and they decorate the placemats for the meal times for the.
I didn't know they were doing that.
inmates.
That's wonderful.
It's very much like Cursillo. If anybody's ever been to Cursillo, our diocese does Cursillo. It used to be at Camp St. Christopher. Now I think it rotates to different
Among churches,
parishes,
yeah.
right? I believe the one this fall is maybe Barnwell. Maybe.
I don't know.
But it's a very similar program, but it's for the inmates specifically, which is really a beautiful weekend, a gift to those that are imprisoned, and everybody, whether you're in.
You get everybody in the prison gets a dozen cookies each night that the program's going on.
So just a
And
little
they have
touch of.
I forget if it's 60 or 70 inmates is the capacity for it. It might be more, it might be less now, but I did that a couple of times. And you have a small percentage of the inmates who are there.
And they sign up.
Yeah, it's all voluntary, of course. And then, but everybody in the prison gets the cookies.
Just special.
And that idea that God's grace is not deserved, and it's just a blessing that comes from out of the blue. And the idea is for the fellows that are, and women too, both prisons, to be in that position of the question, well, why would somebody make me cookies? How would I deserve this? Or they don't even know me, or they don't know what a jerk I am, or whatever it is. But that idea of planting the seeds about you're loved, whether you know you're loved or not. And so the cookies are just a little just a little symbol of that. Just a little symbol.
I was talking to the gentleman that volunteers with that program on this campus on Sunday morning, and he was talking about the inmates also get letters. So the children at Cross will write letters, and other people in other parishes and churches write letters to these inmates, and they get this bag full of handwritten notes and cards and letters. And he said that the impact of that is unbelievable, that they will get this bag of notes saying, God loves you, you are loved, from people they don't know. And one comment was that this gentleman, prisoner, said, I haven't gotten anything close to this from my own family. So the impact of those little touches of you're seen, you're loved, despite your circumstances and what brought you here, you're a child of God. And to recognize yourself as that, and you're worthy of love, is just a tremendous ministry. So Fred Pincher is leading that ministry now, so he'll be at different campuses too to share about that.
Lots of great things happening with that. Like the ministry that goes into the nursing homes, that Jack Pullman and his teams do, and I think they're in 8 nursing homes now, and it's those worship services and singing songs, those old songs, and people all of a sudden start singing, and little short gospel talks, and giving communion sometimes, and just, and that's the big thing. It's about you're not forgotten.
Right. Isn't that funny? Completely different circumstances, yet there is a similarity in the loneliness
Oh,
that
gosh,
happens, that takes place, the not being seen, not hearing I love you.
Disconnected.
Right, disconnected. So we have a lot of opportunities that a lot of people don't get to see because it's outreach, outward focused.
It's all about relationships.
It's beautiful.
All about relationships. Yeah. Well, how's your magazine for the fall coming?
We have a magazine coming out on September the 1st. I think we have completed, Lisa Wilson, not we, 23 pages thus far, so wrapping it up.
And what are you trying to do in that magazine?
It's a kind of like a one-stop shop where you can see all the different offerings for the fall, all the different Bible studies that are available, all the different outreach ministries that will be taking place, the men's events, the women's events. Christmas services will be in there. Hard to believe. Advent teaching, all of that information will be in there. It'll come out digitally in the e-news that week. We'll have a slide in the loop, so it'll be scattered about lots of different places for people to look through.
But it's an online.
It's a digital.
Online book.
We don't print them.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the good thing about that is not only do people have a way of looking forward to everything that's coming, because the e-news can't give you all of that.
No, there's no way.
That just
we can
catches
put
you a week at
everything
a time like that. But it gives you some sense of the scope and expanse of what's happening here. Because most people, you invariably come to a certain service, and you're aware of what the announcements say or the loop says that day or something. But seldom do you have this. Whoa, we're doing all this, and that's what that magazine gives you, is this all-encompassing view of here's what's going on. You do your thing, and that's part of it, but there's a lot of people doing a lot of different things simultaneously that makes the impact in the communities that we've been making for years.
God's Goods volunteer dates will be in there. I was over at God's Goods twice this past week, and that's just a beautiful, beautiful ministry, and they're always needing volunteers there. There's a lot of really good stuff in there.
Yep.
Operation Christmas Child, we're already ordering shoe boxes.
Wow.
We ordered them, I think, yesterday.
Wow.
So all of those things that seem like it's far off, it's really not.
Yeah, but planning, there's so much going on. The front side preparation has to be further and further out. Like the meetings I was in this morning, we're working on that. We're not going to open the doors for 2.5 years. But what we're doing now is critical to having that done. And the pre-planning for things to work well is just so important. And so what you're doing is you get all this is planned out so that it can be executed with God-honoring excellence as it comes up, Christmas time or whenever, you know. And as it's all planned out, you can get all your volunteers and shoe boxes and all the rest of the stuff that has to be pre-ordered on hand to be used at the time to make the impact you want to at the desired time. A lot of planning. Christmas candles and wreaths and so much. But if you don't do the planning, then it's chaos at the end, trying to pull it off. Well, you're not going to pull it off because there's too much to do. So, yep.
All right, so this weekend, you're going to be on the historic campus, 528 and 8 o'clock?
528 and 8, yep. 528 and 8.
And the sermon title is on something gospel. What is it?
The upside down gospel.
I could see the graphic.
The upside down gospel. Yep. And then the one that comes after that will be the Communion of Saints. And that'll start September 1st, 10 o'clock on the historic campus. Then I'll be over here for 9 and 10:30, the September 8th, September 15th. Was the first Sunday of September 1st, isn't
August 31st.
August 31st?
I know that because it's baptism Sunday.
All right, so August 31st, I'll be for 10 o'clock over there.
Yep.
September 7th, 9 and 10:30 over here. September 14th, back to the historic. I'm on that 3-week rotation thing. Yeah, Communion of Saints. Communion of Saints. What does that mean? Not in the literalness of it, but what does it mean in the abstractness and the real spiritual meaning of the Communion of Saints? What is that about? And I'll have a few stories in there and stuff like that. But I think it'll be a blessing. It's been a blessing to work on it. And see, that's another thing, like working on sermons is not enough to have the sermon title. You got to have that thing pretty much written. And that one's written. I just finished it so that I can generate the questions that go on the web page with every sermon. It's out there to the music people to be planning that. It's out there to Charlie's got to be working with prayers, and so that when the time comes, the music people have had a chance to practice and all the rest of that. So.
I saw somebody the other day, I loved this. I think it was Dave Fisher was preaching, and a gentleman at the chapel said hello to him and said, "Are you ready?" or something like that. And Dave said yes. And he's like, "Good, because I got your sermon notes right here, printed off, ready to roll."
Yeah. And I think that there are a number of people that I was thinking of Craig Pelly. He'll be back in town here pretty quick. His family's on vacation in Canada, I think it is. That's where they're from. And his Bible study uses those questions, and that's what they work on in their Bible study.
It's a great resource.
Yeah.
All right, well, a parting thought. Give us a
What
nugget.
What is your parting thought?
Give us a nugget.
Oh, I'm supposed to give the parting thought.
You have to give the nuggets.
One of the things.
Golden nugget.
One of the
You should
things
write
that's
that on the board.
yeah. One of the things that's is in this sermon about Communion of Saints. I was thinking about Mama, and when she got into her 90s, she was frequently asked me. She said, "I don't know why I'm still alive." And so I'd say, "Why is that?" She said, "Well, because all my friends are all dead, and I don't know why the Lord's keeping me alive." And I said, "Well, do you ever think of heaven?" And she said, "I rarely think of anything else." She was in that place of shifting, of shifting her focus. I rarely think of anything else. And I should have expected that answer, but I didn't. You know, I expected her to be more anchored in this world, but she was already raising her anchor. And she was looking forward. The ship was going to sail, and she was looking forward to that and was wondering why the wind hadn't started blowing yet. And as you think about that, I think that we all ought to have a sense of that passage that is in my sermon. You know, this world's not our home. We're passing through. And we need to live with an eye on the future. And I forget who said it now, but that idea that that the difference between this world and the next is death, and death is no more than a stream that you cross over. It's not a big thing, and so that the community of saints is where that is that I'm working with. It's just a little step. And it's not a step to fear if you believe and all that kind of stuff. And you got this great cloud of witnesses and people on this side and people on this side, and we're all going somewhere. And there is that time where you need to disconnect. But the thing is, that disconnected isn't like that. You ought to always have your eye out there. You ought to always travel light. Travel light. With that eye on the future. And that's what it is with cross schools and all that. You have to have an eye on a future. Now, for them, they don't know what the future is going to hold. None of us do with that, because they're preparing for a future in this world that's rapidly changing. But as Christians, we have our eye on a world to come. That's pretty well spelled out for us in Scripture. See, something that we can grab a hold to. There's that phrase that we can grab a hold to. That's not a hoax. That's not a hoax. That's pretty profound.
Very good.
Okay.
All right, don't forget our food bank ministry. If you're at the store this week, grab a couple extra things. You can drop them off at services or here at the chapel.
They still looking for
during
bags?
the week. Bags, plastic bags and paper bags, I believe, are still always a need. So
Strengthening your journey?
strengthening your journey. We can't repeat everything right now.
No, but that's a sign-up thing that people ought to be thinking about.
Confirmation,